This week on Previews World Weekly, we discuss your reactions to the Loki season finale, Mario gets the ultimate power-up, and we take a look at a hauntingly good Previews exclusive Funko Pop. It's all happening right now on Previews World Weekly.
What's up, Previews World? It's Wednesday. It's New Comic Book Day, which means it's time for Previews World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood, aka the Duchess of Free Comic Book Day. Guys, we are within a month.
Give it to him.
Within a month of Free Comic Book Day, which I must remind you is on August 14th this year. Yesterday was 25 days out, so 24 days, 24 precious days we are counting down. You can head over to freecomicbookday.com, check out the full list of titles. There's 50 good ones. There's tons of if you're maybe more of like a casual mainstream pop culture person, there's Star Wars, Assassin's Creed, the Avengers. There's actually 2 Star Wars books. There's Street Fighter, all kinds of stuff if you're just easing your way into comics, plus some of the heavy hitters if you guys are already big comic book fans. So there's a lot to be excited about.
Absolutely. And actually, do you want to talk a little bit about the Avatar? You did a big reveal this past week, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Dark Horse revealed their cover for their Avatar: The Last Airbender Legend of Korra comic book, which is like a big deal. Everyone was super excited about it. I was personally super excited about it. It's an awesome cover. It's got Tenzin, Ikki, and Jinora on the front of it. And Ikki and Jinora are so big. Like, they are all grown up now. And it's just like, it kind of is going to play into all of the new Avatar stuff coming from Paramount Avatar Studios. So I saw a lot of people on the Free Comic Book Day Twitter like, is this going to be a new Legend of Korra thing? Are there new Legend of Korra stories coming? Yes, there are. So grab this at your local comic book shop on the 14th so you can get on the train as it gets rolling.
Absolutely, absolutely. And actually, Ashton, you were out last week. I forgot you missed an entire show last week.
I was.
So we got to play catch up with you a little bit, right? Like, what have you been seeing in the world of nerddom the last couple of weeks, or like this past week, I should say?
Bro, I saw these Dune trailers, and they actually dropped more today. Like, we talked about this yesterday, and they had dropped kind of like the main lineup of like the main Dune characters, and then they dropped all of like the secondary characters today. But like, they did these incredible character posters for all of the characters in Dune. So like, Timothée Chalamet as Paul, Zendaya as Chani, Rebecca Ferguson as Lady Jessica. And like, I'm so excited about Oscar Isaac as Duke Leto. Like, I just think that's great casting. So I'm really excited about these. Like, I cannot wait for this movie to come out. I feel like y'all probably already sick of me talking about this. Also, Javier Bardem is Stilgar. Hold on. That's amazing. Like, just the casting across the board is phenomenal. So to get a really close look at what these people look like in character as these kind of like iconic characters is super exciting, and they're really ramping up like kind of the hype on this. It's out October 22nd, so I'll be insufferable on that day.
Are you going to the theater? Are you going to go to the theater to watch this one?
Definitely.
All right, okay.
Well, like Villeneuve has already said that it was shot with like the theater experience in mind, so you have to go see it in theater.
I like that. Dune equals spice.
It does. I see.
Ready for some Dune. I like that. Thank you. All right, cool. You're not the only one. I do want to point out, actually, before I even point out that there is a Boom Studios comic currently coming out for the Dune franchise, I also got to point, there's no Dave Bautista. Is he not a major character? Is he not a major character?
He's not like he's not a major character. I would say he's more of a secondary character. He plays the Beast Raban. His poster came out in the set they dropped today.
Oh, okay. So they did a whole nother set on top of everything else. All right. So all right, cool. Yeah, check that out, guys. I'm sure it's on Dune social media right now. But don't jump away from this show.
No.
Just keep us on in the background and go check it out right now if you're a big Dune fan, which it looks like we got a few already in the chat right now.
Nice.
And also, yes, Boom Studios does have a new series of Dune books written by Frank E. Herbert's, right? Yes, son. So like, definitely give that a shot, especially if you're a Dune fan, because they're fleshing out the world even more. Like, I know Herbert did a bunch of books, but these particular comics are just adding even more to the lore. And
they're a prequel too, which is super cool because it takes all of like the oldest characters you get when the book starts. So like Leto, Gurney, Duncan Idaho, the Padishah Emperor, and I think also Harkonnen, and it sets them in their youth. So as they're coming into power and their roles that ultimately become important. So it does flesh out the world really well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for saving me there, Ashley, because I was going to pretend I knew more than 4 chapters of Dune, but I don't. And I haven't even seen the David Lynch movie, so I mean, I should have at least done that. But yeah,
The David Lynch movie is wacky. I know that it has like a cult following. Some people love it, but it is so weird. And like he does things that make no sense. Like for some reason, there's like a random lightning strike whenever the worms are approaching, which is not in the book at all. He's just like, you know what this needs? Lightning.
I like that. Okay, all right. I mean, look, what lightning is to David Lynch as explosions are to Michael Bay. I guess that's quite all right. All right. So speaking of comics, why don't we talk about what's out this week, right? Let's jump on overhead and let's do the new releases because, good God, it is New Comic Book Day. Let's go. Hallelujah indeed. I started talking a little bit early, I think. But hallelujah indeed. It is New Comic Book Day. You know what, Ashton? You were gone last week. I'm going to let you go first.
I thought you were going to be like, you know what? You always go first. I'm going first.
I actually was about to. And then I was like, actually, you know what? She wasn't on last week, so I'll let her go first. So after you, Ashton.
Thank you. I'm going to surprise everyone by picking a book I've never picked before. Just kidding. Picking Undiscovered Country this week. Undiscovered Country number 14. So I have to admit right off the bat, I'm a little behind right now. The last one I read was 11. So I'm a little not caught up, but I always pick this book because I love it. I think it's so brilliant. And I think it has a lot of interesting and important commentary. So in 14, this puts us in the possibility zone. So, you know, as a refresher, we have our group of heroes in this post-apocalyptic isolationist America, and they're moving through these different zones in the country. So we've been in the Destiny Zone, the Unity Zone, and now we're in the Possibility Zone. So the theme for the Possibility Zone, because if you recall, these zones have like a weird theme. This one is all about creativity. So this zone is built and powered by American creativity. And so the group of explorers is going to lean really heavily on their cultural expert, Ace Kenyatta, because he's, he's an anthropologist for America pre-isolationist, so what it used to be. So he's kind of their key to surviving in this zone. But I'm really interested in what is going to happen in this zone, because also one of the other themes that has been taking place is you have each of these zones, and these zones kind of take a cynical subversion on whatever their quality is. So it's never the best and brightest of what you would expect. So if you remember, like with the Destiny Zone, it was all about anarchy. Or with the Unity Zone, it was all about a hive mind. So I'm wondering like kind of how they're going to subvert creativity, because you always want to think that creativity it is going to be the best and brightest or forward looking, but it's probably not going to be in this particular scenario.
Okay. No, I thought that was pretty good. Sorry, I thought you were going to keep going for a second. But yeah, no,
I forgot what I was going to say. So I was like, I'm just going to sit here and try not to look awkward.
Okay, well, we failed miserably. It's all right. No, okay. No, hey, look, I am definitely behind on Discover Country, but like every week you talk about it. So you know what? I'm probably going to be a filthy trade waiter and probably go ahead and scoop this up when it gets not collected in a nice little omnibus so I can sit and read it in one sitting. My pick this week. Look, so one of the things I love about comics is just how you can play with storytelling, right? You can just kind of do things that you can do things you can't get away with in movies. You can do things that you can't get away with in television shows. You can even do things that you probably couldn't even get away with in novels, because there is the visual element on top of everything else, right?
Right.
And so this new book, Mouth Valis, is out from Image Comics today. And so it's 128 pages. It's full color. It's drawn and written by EPHK, who is a European artist. Number one on my list here is the reasons I love this is it reminds me, it's got that heavy metal 2000 AD vibe that I love, right? But on top of that, the thing I think that's really cool about this is it's told in its original, quote unquote, Martian language, right? And so the story is being told in a very visual style so that you can follow it, but the characters are speaking Martian, which I think is really awesome.
That's so cool.
That's very cool, right? And in addition to that, the artwork looks great. I absolutely love this. Like I feel like it's a little bit of Mobius in there, but like not, not a direct copy of Mobius. But like on top of that, it just looks really awesome. And I'll give you guys a short pitch. This is from Image Comics, of course. It's inspired by a newfound love for. Okay, so Mount Vallis is inspired by a newfound love for the storytelling format of Mexican historietas and my never-ending adoration for classic 70s European sci-fi narratives. This is what EPHK has said. I think anyone who's into classic sci-fi adventure, but also interested in new ways to discover it, will enjoy reading Mount Vallis. During a skirmish with and so this is the premise. During a skirmish with an opposing Martian faction, a fighter pilot disobeys orders to pursue a fleeing foe. Guided by her determination and curiosity, she's led into a dangerous chase through Mars's Forbidden Valley, where she'll be confronted with the red planet's darkest of secrets. So, it's kind of like a pretty straightforward story. And I mean, it would have to be because it's told in a Martian language, right?
Right.
But I just think that's really cool. I really think that's like a really awesome and interesting idea. And it's pocket size, like can fit if you're in your back pocket if you
said it was 128 pages though.
Yeah, 128 pages. But I mean, if you shrink it down, like that's not too bad. I mean, most manga is longer than that, I kind of feel. So it kind of works out. You know what I mean? But yeah, check that out. That's from Image this week, and it looks cool. And I'm a sucker for things that look cool. So why not, right? Okay, so of course these aren't the only things available at your local comic shop this week. Your comic shop, of course, has way more comics. You can find out more about that at PREVIEWSworld.com/new releases. But we're going to give you a little bit more of an insight into what's going on in the toy aisle of your local comic shop. So here's Cannon Doll X. She's going to take it away, and she's going to tell you what's inside the Previews toy chest this week.
Natasha here to give you a look inside the Previous toy chest. Let's find out what's at comic shops this week. Be sure to check with your local comic shop for availability. And to see more, head over to PREVIEWSworld.com/toy chest. There you'll feast your eyes on more hot new collectibles.
All right, that's just, of course, some of what's available at your local comic shop. Always check with them first because every comic shop's different. Every comic shop has a personality unique to itself, right? Which I think is the beauty of comic shops. So yeah, just hit them up, call them, find out what's going on, or head on over to Previous World Pull Box and use your Pull Box account to see if some of those items are available right now. All right, what else we got going on here this week? Okay, you want me to do news this week for some reason, so I'm going to do news this week.
Well, you were very excited about this particular thing.
Yeah, I just find it interesting, and I'll explain a while after I read this. So this was brought to my attention. This actually, I went camping this weekend, and then one of the conversations we had was, "Oh, did you know that a cartridge of Super Mario went for $114,000?" It's true.
Wait, it was just the cartridge?
Well, no, so it's unopened, right?
Okay.
It's an open box. It's got the cartridge in it. And here, I'll just go ahead and read the news item. So this is from CNN. An anonymous buyer bid a record $114,000 for a rare unopened copy of the classic video game Super Mario Brothers. The game cartridge was originally released in 1985 for the popular Nintendo system console. I don't have to read that to you guys. You guys are nerds. You already know this thing. The winning bid broke the record for the most ever paid for a video game, according to Heritage, which was the auction house, Heritage Auctions. A mint copy of the game sold for $100,150 in February of 2019. So this definitely beat that. The thing I'm curious about with this, though, is I'm wondering if it was intentionally unopened or it just happened to be a shelf copy that no one ever got to. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I really wonder that. But yeah,
I can't imagine anyone that had their hands on a Nintendo and a Mario game at any point in time was like, I'm not going to play this.
Well, like, especially at that point in time, I don't think people really were up on the idea that these things would be worth anything back then.
Right.
So I really wonder about that, if this is just an open copy. That auction is nuts. Also, Mario 64 sold for an insane price. Yes, it did. Actually, also on that list of things that sold for an insane price, a prototype of the never sold Sega Pluto O2 console brought in a winning bid of $84,000.
Oh my God.
A copy of Mike Tyson's Punch Out sold for $50,400. And one of the first sealed copies of Super Mario Brothers 3 sold for $38,400. It is believed to be one of less than 10 copies left in existence, Heritage said. So yeah, this is of course, we're connected to Diamond, and of course, we're big on collectibles and stuff like that, right? But there's a whole other gaming market here that's starting to really kind of bud and really starting to get into the collectibles aspect of it. And I don't think people really understood that maybe a couple years back, and now it's really kind of becoming really prominent. So yeah, I just thought it was really cool, especially I imagine most comic fans are also gamers as well. So just thought it was a neat and interesting little thing. So wanted to point that out. Retro 411, what's up? I just found out about this channel through the previews book at EC Comics. I bookmarked the website too. Good stuff. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us, Retro. I appreciate that.
Nice to have you.
Nice to have you. You're always welcome. Well, actually, how about this, Retro? Why don't we put you onto some more stuff that you can buy from EC Comics?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So here's a trailer for the Funko Pop Mr. Burns. And when I come back, I'll actually give you a little insight into the making of the trailer. How about that? All right, let's do it.
From Funko comes a Previews exclusive, and it's a monster!
It's not a monster, it's Mr. Burns.
As seen in the 1997 Simpsons episode The Springfield Files, Mr. Burns is bringing some love to your Funko collection with this glowing Mr. Burns pop vinyl figure. And be on the hunt for the translucent chase version, which features Mr. Burns sporting his healthy green glow. The glowing Mr. Burns pop vinyl figure stands about 3 3/4 inches tall and comes packaged in a collector-friendly window box. Don't miss out on adding this Previews exclusive Close Encounter of the Blurred Kind to your collection.
So I don't know if you guys noticed, but someone had way too much fun making that trailer. And that person is Johnny Rose. Johnny, you want to first of all, what episode of The Simpsons is this from? Because I know you know.
That is from the Springfield Files.
Okay. All right. Cool.
It's been a long time since I've actually seen the episode, but I feel like with a name like that, it must have had Dana Scully and Fox Mulder, or the characters from the X-Files.
Actually, yeah, it actually did. Or at least there's at least one episode that I definitely remember where Dana and Mulder showed up on the show, and maybe that was the one. So there you go. It
probably is, because the basic premise is that Mr. Burns is mistaken for an alien because he's gone through this treatment, or just years of working in a nuclear power plant has given him this healthy green glow, and he's had his he has these procedures that help him cheat death every week. So
every week
Mr. Smithers is Mr. Burns goes through these procedures so that he can cheat death for another week. I'm like, okay, is he just doing this every week?
Very healthy.
I'm excited about that. I think the pop figure looks awesome. I generally don't. I'm not a huge Funko Pop collector, but this is one of the ones I'm like, I want to get this one because it's just I love The Simpsons in general, and it's a must-have.
Johnny's like, I'm not a huge Funko Pop collector. Then I see 6 right behind him.
In the background. Yeah.
Oh, actually, no. It's
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's
here.
10 of them.
Yeah. I mean, he could be Animia and her 400.
It's a small but modest collection.
That's true. Actually, that reminds me, we need to do a pull box tutorial video, and I want Mia to come in because I want her to just shop around for Funko Pops at her local shop and just watch herself destruct.
Oh yeah, no self-control for some Funko Pops.
I do want to share one while we're on the topic. One of my crown prize collection of jewels is that I got this from New York Comic Con. It's this golden Stanley.
Mm-hmm.
Is that in a protector case?
Yes, it is. That's why there's a big sheen around it. But I saw this. I'm like, I don't, like I said, I don't generally collect the Funko Pops. When I see one I want, I'm like, I have to have that. So this one will never go on eBay. This will live permanently in my house. So
I love that.
I respect that. I love that too. I almost got suckered into getting that one. Almost did it. And then I was like, Troy, where are you going to put this? You're going to be sitting on a throne of comics and action figures if you don't watch it. So just chill out. But you guys can get the Funko Pop Mr. Burns figure right now. Head on over to PREVIEWSworld.com. Again, don't leave the show. Keep watching the show. Put it on the background. Go to PREVIEWSworld.com. It's right on the front page. And you can use Pullbox to order it. So go for it. Do it. Because it'll make your life easier. You took the words right out of my mouth. It's going to make your life easier. That's absolutely perfect. All right. Let's see here. What's up next? Social Swamp.
Oh gosh, we are moving right through this. Wow.
We are breezing through, right? Yeah. All right. So let's just do it. Let's see. It's actually probably good that we're breezing through because I think we're going to get lost in the sauce a little bit on this.
Yeah, we definitely are.
Yeah, we're going to be all up in it in a second. Like this is just going to turn into nerdy territory. All right. Sorry, that was a burp. Social Swamp time.
Okay, so our beloved Loki has concluded. Troy made a valiant effort to not have us talk about it every week, which is fair. But now we're going to kind of like get into it, dig into the meat of it. We asked you guys, go off in the comment section. We left a spoiler warning. Tell us your true, honest thoughts on how Loki wrapped up on that final episode. So we'll get into what you guys said, and then we'll also give our hot takes.
Yep.
Lars said, sets up the multiverse war, which will bring forth the Conqueror Kang that everyone is waiting, give legitimacy to mutants by having them be from a different universe, could also be the mean spring on the Fantastic Four.
Potentially.
Okay.
Maybe not the mutants, but I'm with you on the Fantastic Four thing.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Christopher said the entire finale was a dude sitting at a desk explaining at us. Was not impressed at all. Overall, the series was a disappointment. Oh, man. So many wonderful elements and ideas, great actors and set pieces, all to tell a pretty mediocre story.
Yikes.
I know that was a lot. Clay says, I think I saw some mutants swirling around in one of those timeline branches. I am ready.
Oh, God.
Zach says, I loved it. It sets up Doctor Strange and from what I've heard, possibly Spider-Man No Way Home. Like all of Marvel's TV series, it was fun with great character development and interesting moments that often get lost in the big event movies. Can't wait for more.
All right.
Scott says, loved it. What if the destroying of other timelines was somehow feeding, I'm guessing that's supposed to be feeding Galactus.
It's feeding Galactus, yeah.
Okay. Keeping him in some kind of slumber unconsciousness, and by killing Kang, or He Who Remains, it releases Galactus from his slumber to start devouring worlds again. Why can I never read these?
All right. Well, Galactus is definitely spelled wrong.
So yeah, I think that's a C. I'm almost certain we just did that Galactus Funko Pop, and I'm almost certain that's supposed to be a C.
Yeah, it's definitely a C. People say I don't know comics, but that's definitely a C.
Brian says, so did Cobra run Lamentus? Keep waiting for one of the blue guards to yell out, Cobra!
They kind of do like Cobra Troopers. All right, okay. So, Johnny, just jump in here, Johnny. Just come on.
Before we get into it with us, there's a couple other people that are checking in. Haku, who was saying Loki was really good. I liked the last episode.
Oh, cool.
Also saying the final episode was great. And CDI Arcade says need more Thanos copter.
there actually was the Thanos copter in there. That's actually like a nice little nod to like one of the random appearances Thanos had like back in the day. So
that was great. When I saw that, I about like jumped out of my seat, and my wife's like looking at me like, "What are you doing?" And then seconds later, you see Throg, or like the little frog Thor, like trying to be stuck in the glass, trying to get out. I'm like, ah! I'm like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme, just like.
Oh yeah.
I don't think people. Well, look, I read this one time on the internet, and you always got to be careful about the thing you read one time on the internet, right? But I read somewhere that the blade that Thanos, the two-sided blade that Thanos uses in Endgame. Is actually helicopter blades. And so that in itself is also a nod to this goofy Iron Man story where he was in a helicopter for some reason, escaped on a helicopter for some reason.
That does make sense because in Endgame, when he's repelling Iron Man's blast, the blades are spinning around like a helicopter.
Yep.
The more you know.
Wow.
There you go. Ding, ding, ding. Anyway, let's do it. So actually, you know what? I'm gonna start with Ashton because Ashton, you're not a big MCU person, but you were totally on board for this. So I want your take on this. I really want to hear your opinion on this.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not that I'm not a big MCU person. Like I said before, I'm getting a little burnt out on it. I guess kind of like to get my hottest take out of the way early. I was a little underwhelmed with the Citadel at the end of time and kind of what Sylvie and Loki walked into after the Void. I don't know. I was expecting maybe a little more pomp or grandeur for something at the end of time, like just one guy and Miss Minutes being kind of like a cock block for a couple seconds wasn't all that impressive to me. So I guess that was maybe like if I was going to even reach for the word disappointment, which I don't want to because nothing about this show disappointed me. I just would say I was a little underwhelmed by what they walked into. That said, I saw a lot of people in the comment section saying that they were not thrilled with like the big conversation and all the exposition between He Who Remains and Sylvie and Loki. I completely disagree. I actually really, really liked this series start to finish because, and someone else pointed this out, I think it got a chance to get into the nitty gritty of things, explain things, develop characters and worlds in a way they just don't have at the time for in these really big ensemble movies. So I appreciated that. I like exposition and I like character development. So I actually really liked the final episode. I was really impressed with the fight scene between Loki and Sylvie. I liked that a lot. She broke my heart though when she kissed him and pushed him back to the TVA. Loki deserved better. I'm interested though, kind of like, I don't know how I felt about that because I can't tell if she betrayed him, if that came from a place of selfishness, selflessness, both, neither. I don't know how I felt about that. I liked it though, because a lot of people were anticipating that she would betray him. And I'm not entirely sold on if that's what happened there. I liked it. I get where people maybe felt like when you watch MCU stuff, you kind of have this expectation of like bigger, faster, better. A lot's going to happen. A lot of people, a lot of like crazy twists. And this wasn't that, but I think it's important that it kind of works as a counterbalance.
What about you, Johnny? What do you think of the?
I saw a lot of the same stuff online. A lot of people complaining, saying there's just like a lot of talking. And Apaku says, "Does this mean Loki is back and never died?" No. I mean, he's back. He's died a couple times.
Yeah, true. Also true.
Yeah.
He also says that the conversation had to be there to explain things, and I agree.
Exactly.
I mean, there has to be a balance of like action and narrative or exposition, I guess, to kind of explain what's going on, and especially the events that are being lined up for the future of the MCU. I feel like the conversation between this version of Kang or He Who Remains has to be told in order to adequately set up what is coming down the pipeline.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So, and first of all, like, can we just talk about the stellar performance by Jonathan Majors?
Yes.
As He Who Remains. Yes, it was a lot of talking, but for everything that he said, I was 100% riveted to the TV.
Yeah.
Like I've watched it 3 or 4 times and fast forwarded it to those moments where he's talking because that performance just has me glued to the set. It was amazing. One thing I thought of, and I want to touch base on, is like our thumbnail that we made for this show, which just says blame Loki's, but mostly this one. But it's also hard to blame Sylvie because while we probably tend to gravitate towards our Loki and be more sympathetic to him, you do have to take a look at like where she's been and like what's happened to her and realize that she honestly cannot trust anyone. So while it is unfortunate that she does create the multiversal war or to come, so to speak, can you kind of blame her because she's basically been like screwed over by the TVA or this He Who Remains guy for so long for her entire life that there's no other choice for her because she can't trust. She still feels like she's being manipulated. But it also, on our Loki, it's interesting because remember a couple weeks back we said that people were like, "Oh, he hasn't gone through the motions. He hasn't experienced all these things. He's just seen it on like on a replay." But he has seen his death at the hands of Thanos. So he knows what could be coming, and because in fact he does care for Sylvie, he doesn't want to see that kind of fate happen to her with this Kang that's coming down, the King of the Conversation.
I was just gonna say there's another interesting layer to this, right? Which is Sylvie is him, right? Like she is a Loki, so there is a bit of self-preservation also involved in that in this world as well, which I think is also on brand for Loki. You know, so it's like it's interesting because like there's a little bit of a character shift that happens to Loki, right? Like there's a little bit of like a psychological breakthrough that happens for Loki, right? But at the end of the day, it's also still kind of like narcissistic in a weird way.
Yeah, it is.
You know what? I kind of kept wondering, like there was a little bit of sexual tension between Sylvie and Loki, and I was like, how are they going to play this? Because I already know I don't even have to go on Tumblr. You know what I'm about to say? I don't even have to go
tell
on
you
Tumblr.
Because I've been on Tumblr. I got on Tumblr to seek this out. Do you know what though? Like I'll tell you this, and we can keep it pushing. The most of Tumblr and the fan fiction community are not worried about Loki and Sylvie. They're worried about Loki and Mobius.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Okay. That's also not surprising, actually. But yeah, I just kind of wondered about how this is going to play. And I was like, I know this is getting shipped somehow, some way.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little oddball to me, but but at the same time, we're in a weird space with these timelines, right? So why the heck not? I mean, look, if Marty McFly can kiss his mother, or his mother can kiss him, or Marty McFly's mother can kiss him, I should say specifically. I think that Loki and Sylvie kissing is kind of interesting. You know what I mean? And it has a new wrinkle to it, which is sort of like, well, that's just weird, but it makes for compelling TV.
How disappointed were we though that Mobius never got to go back to his jet ski life?
Right. He could have had a jet ski.
We were all so disappointed about that. There wasn't even a jet ski in the wasteland that he could ride on or pretend to ride on.
Right, exactly. With the Jonathan Majors, at first, I'll be honest, at first I was a little put off by his performance because I knew that he was playing Kang, and I was like, look, this is a fanboy. This is a fanboy coming out. I'm like, Kang wouldn't act like that. Like, why is Kang acting like this? He's acting like I don't know. He's like acting like a weird child. You know what I mean? But then I realized, like, as he was talking more, I was like, oh, hold on. He's the Kang that has been stuck in this dimension or this timeline, or this reality, or whatever you want to call it, forever. So he's probably a little off on top of first of all.
Oh, he's a little nutty. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But on top of that, he's the nice Kang. Like he's the nicest option they have. And so whoever's going to pop up in Quantum Mania, right? Because let's remember this. They announced that he was going to be Kang last year, and he was going to be an Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I'm actually really looking forward to now, because whichever Kang is popping up in Quantum Mania that's going to be a huge shift for the MCU, and I'm also really big on it. Also, I'm very excited about Doctor Strange and now the Spider-Man movies because they're definitely going in that direction as well.
We got a comment here. People are shipping Loki and Sylvie, and other people are shipping Loki and Mobius. Personally, I never wanted a romance for him. I just want him to have friends. Blood Brothers has insight into the multis. Yeah.
The comic. Yeah, there's a comic called Blood Brothers, I think, which is Thor and Loki.
Speaking of comics, I just want to touch on this real quick. I love throughout the course of the show just all the little nods to the comics I put in. We mentioned the Thanos copter, we mentioned Throg, which has been confirmed by Kate Heron. I heard a podcast where they talked to her and she mentions Throg by name because someone else was saying it was a different version of a frog Thor, but that's neither here nor there. I loved also, I think it was the last episode, not the recent one. I think it was episode 5 when President Loki showed up from the Vote Loki series. He had the green jacket with the Vote Loki on. I saw that. I was like, yes, thank you. So I all in all, I think it was a great show. And the thing I've loved after it's all said and done are the memes. It's just like seeing one of the things that I saw was like, here's Doctor Strange trying to clean up after what happened in WandaVision and Loki. And it's just a guy trying to brush water back into the ocean.
No, I absolutely love that. Actually, we're going to get into the memes. Actually, we might as well just do that now. What memes do we have for the people this week, Johnny? Oh wait, Johnny just vanished.
Why did
Did he just kick himself out?
I don't know what happened. Something went wrong, and hey, I'm back.
And hey, I'm back. Good to see you.
Actually, okay.
The reason for the different Lokis, it confused me. Well, I think they had mentioned in like the first, it was the second episode that they had been pruning the Lokis from all kinds of like different realities. So where they all ended up. When anyone got pruned, they ended up in that wasteland where that creature Goliath was being sent to. But because of the fact that Lokis are Lokis and they're going to survive, that's why they were pretty much the only ones running around the wasteland, and there's just no one else there.
I also love that like Loki is just a constant problem. Like no matter what timeline it is, there's a rolling issue with Loki. Actually, Johnny, I was going to ask you a question because I didn't really read Loki Agent of Asgard, but I know that you actually read it for like you skimmed it or read it or whatever
for the panel,
right? Like
which you should check it on our YouTube channel.
You should, yes. Did you notice any parallels, any aspects of it that I mean, I feel like there's some slight secret agent aspects to kind of
not so much. I mean, there's Loki had a sword in the show, which kind of looks like his sword in the Agents of Asgard run. There's a kid Loki in it, but the younger version of Loki that's in Agent of Asgard is a much older and taking this from the book, a more One Direction-y type Loki, so to speak. But the one in the comics is a little bit younger, so I haven't read about that story.
I'm about to say, careful. Don't say One Direction in front of Ashton. She might pop.
I do love Harry Styles.
That's out of the book. That's not me.
But okay, we were going to jump into some memes real quick. What do we got?
All right, let's see here. Let's go. So the timeline starts branching. Hilarious. Is this guy actually dressed as Doctor Strange at like a sporting event or something?
No. He was at a soccer game and he was pissed off. And then someone put Doctor Strange's costume on him.
Oh, okay.
Shout out to that Photoshop.
Michael says, looks like Star-Lord isn't the biggest screw up in the MCU anymore.
Yeah, that one is specifically for Ashton.
It is because I did elect to not forgive him on Global Forgiveness Day.
And then I did a little bit more digging and I found a few more. So on Twitter, look, Doctor Strange checking the timeline status after episode 6. It's just SpongeBob waking up and it's like,
love it.
This one I love. This is basically the last episode of Loki. Starts at the bottom with Hulk hitting stairs and moves up into all-out multiversal war.
That is absolutely what happened. Can't convince me otherwise.
That's accurate.
I mean, to quote the Falcon and Winter Soldier, he's out of line, but he's not wrong.
There you go. Hey,
Kang, also Kang.
I love that.
And this next one is probably my favorite. Star-Lord causing Endgame. Sylvie causing multiverse.
Absolutely love it.
So we did not create any of these. If anyone knows where these memes came from, please like show us in the comments below, like who made some of these. We'd like to give you credit because there's a lot. Just the amount of creativity out there in the meme world is just amazing, and you never cease to amaze us.
Yeah, and it's like always just like the memes end up being like I think the safest way for me to engage with like speculation. Like, you know, I feel like that's like my ceiling. Like the minute I start getting into YouTube videos and, you know, like articles about what may or may not happen, then I need to just check out. So whatever. But yeah, thanks for
I definitely I made that mistake because I was, you know, doing some Googling after the final episode, which was a mistake. And I found myself on Screen Rant. And which is fine, except for the fact that this particular article that speculated about Kang the Conqueror was entirely too long. And I got about halfway through it and I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And then get up and leave.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like you kind of have to be careful with that.
I would like to say one final thing before we close this out because we got a little bit more show to get to. If anyone's interested in like reading into Loki or finding out any of the backstories of some of these characters, please, we implore you, go to your friendly local comic shop. Ask them to pick up like whatever Loki titles you can find. Ask them to pick up all of them because everyone loves Loki. So you want to know more about your favorite Asgardian trickster. So stop by your friendly local comic shop. If you can't find one, be sure to visit comicshoplocator.com and they'll point you in the right direction.
Absolutely. You know, and actually that's a great point. Instead of like going to websites and YouTube to find speculation, everything you need to know potentially is in the comics. Like crazy thought, but you know, give it a shot. Maybe you'll like it. All right, cool. Let's what are we on to now?
I love the suggested alligator Loki. You, sir, have won the internet for today. Thank you.
You won the internet. You get a no prize, my friend. You get a no prize.
Amazing.
Ashton, do we have a weekly poll this week?
We have a weekly poll this week.
Okay.
It is completely ridiculous, and I'm looking forward to your feedback on it. I have asked you guys since it's summer, it's beach season. I was at the beach last week. That's why I wasn't here. I want to know what power could you use to make the best sandcastle? Would it be the Force or earth bending?
Okay. This is very Ashton specific.
It is.
Ashton, what is your answer? I want to hear what you think.
You know what? I posted this poll and then I realized probably 45 seconds after I posted it that there is an episode in Avatar where Toph earthbends. Like, she makes all of Ba Sing Se out of sand, earthbending. So probably earthbending, even though I do love Star Wars. Just because there it is. Yeah,
there
that's
it
exactly.
is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay,
yeah, just for that alone, I should have realized before I made the poll, but I'd have to pick earthbending.
Okay, Johnny, you want to go ahead and select earthbending? And
no, I don't, because I want to go with the obvious answer here is to just become friends with Sandman from Marvel.
That's not a choice, but thank you for
I don't think that's an option. Actually, Retro 411, it says I vote earthbending too. So
okay, well, because Retro 411 is voting earthbending, I'm going to go with that. And 75% of people agree. Earthbending over the Force, which only got 25%.
Ooh, what does that say about, then there's some parallels to Star Wars and to the Force and like and bending too, which is actually pretty.
You know what though? Anakin hates sand. It's irritating.
It does. That's very true.
It's coarse. It's rough. It gets everywhere.
All right. I talk in a monotone voice. Anyway.
Actually, it's the reason I don't like the beach either. So
there you go.
Okay.
Anakin or the sand?
No, just the sand, because it's rough, it's coarse, it gets everywhere.
Oh Jesus! I went camping this weekend. I said this already, but I definitely had to get sand out of everything for for 3 days straight. So I might be Team Anakin at this point. I'm not sure.
Those are lame, lamos.
Lamos. I'm going to Mexico next week, so maybe I'll give it another shot. We'll see. All right. I think, what is this? Comic shop shout out time then, Ashton?
Comic shop shout out time.
Who is our comic shop shout out this week?
This week's comic shop shout out goes to House of Heroes Comics and Collectibles, and it comes from Heather Nielsen. So we'll show you some photos from inside of that shop at the end of the show. And if you want us to shout out your shop on the show, you can find us on social media, tag your shop. If they don't have a handle, just leave their name, and also use the hashtag #SupportYourLCS. We'll find your shop, shout them out on the show, and give them some love.
There you go. And of course, we got to pay the bills a little bit real quick, guys. I want to remind people, like, follow, subscribe. That's just your friendly reminder. You got two options here, right? Yep. Ashton represents, I'm pointing in the wrong direction. Ashton represents Free Comic Book Day. You can follow her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Am I forgetting one? Oh, YouTube as well, actually.
Yeah, true.
So there you go. And if you have any problem with anything on Free Comic Book Day, just tell her. And I represent and I represent PREVIEWSworld. And you can follow me because I'm completely innocent all the time.
Yes.
On Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We don't have a TikTok though, but that's what we got Free Comic Book Day for, because they do some of our heavy lifting on that.
You have this banging YouTube channel too.
We do. The YouTube channel is beautiful, and I love the YouTube channel. So there you go. Also, speaking of PREVIEWSworld, 2 interviews went up this week that I wanted to point out real quick. Number one, Jeff Lemire has a new book called Maze Book, and it's available to order in your catalog right now. And he gives a little insight into this book. So this is going to be one of the, Lemire's known for kind of like 2 modes. He either does like really creepy, right, kind of dark, right, or very emotional. And this is both of those things come together. It's a psychological thriller. It's going to be very unexpected, as you can tell from some of the art right there. It's going to be like really just kind of like highly imaginative and kind of delirious. And that's kind of what Jeff Lemire does best. So definitely check that out. The interview's up on our website right now. Also, Julius Abrera has a great interview, and I'm not just saying this because I've worked with Julius before. Has a great interview on our website right now, where he takes us inside his artwork. We've been doing these series of interviews every single week. More specifically, I've been doing these series of interviews every single week called Get Graphic. We do them on Mondays, and I just talk to artists. Because look, I've said this before, artists are the billboards of comic shops. Like, you got a great cover, that's 90% of the struggle to getting people to open it. Like, you know what I mean? And Julius is no exception. And he's been doing some great work for us. There's my comic right there. Don't tell anybody. And he's been doing some great, and he's just done some great artwork. I mean, his pencils are crazy. Like, they're stupid good, And so we just kind of give you a little bit of insight into like his craft. We do that every single week. We'll have some more in the coming weeks. So definitely check that out on PREVIEWSworld.com. And I guess that's it for PREVIEWSworld Weekly.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
This
44.
is one of our shortest ones.
One of our shorter shows, because last week's show was like an hour. So yeah, this is actually a pretty short one. Yeah, guys, thanks for joining us. As always, I'm sure Jeffrey Allen.
I'm Ashton Greenwood.
And you know what? I won't be here next week, but definitely tune in next week because Ashton and me are going to run the show. So it's going to be their whole thing, top to bottom. So we'll see how that goes. No pressure, Ashton, no pressure. And after that, we'll see you at the spinner rack. Catch you guys later.
Don't forget that you can catch Previews World Weekly streaming live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific at Previews World on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.